What I've started to hear about recently is a response that women are talking about, options of response to the November arrest of a woman in Jerusalem at the Western Wall for praying with a Tallit on, with a prayer shawl on, and reading from the Torah. I think it's the first time that a woman has been arrested in a religious site in Israel for actually wearing religious articles. She was wearing a Tallit. It is really a very interesting gray area for women in Jewish law, because women are not commanded to wear a Tallit, but then there's a whole discussion about whether that means they're prohibited from wearing such a thing. It really is something that we're split on in the Jewish world in terms of Jewish law. But when it comes to Jewish communities, really there's an acceptance, I would say by the majority of communities that make up either the conservative or the reform part of Judaism. There's pretty much an acceptance for a woman to wear this. So it's kind of ironic that when we go to Israel and we're at the Western Wall, we see that a woman wanting to express herself in a prayer ritual is arrested. And what starts to happen now is you start to hear all these different voices coming out. Some of the authoritative rabbis in Israel are coming out saying these women are stupid and they're doing it for self-serving purposes. This isn't because she really wanted to pray to God. And I mean, that's where we kind of have to step back and think, how does anybody know what anybody else really wanted to do at that moment? She's standing at the Western Wall. She's got a prayer shawl around her. She's engaged in prayer. How do I know, or anyone else, what she's intending at that moment? The only one who truly knows is she in her own heart and God. And it really, to me, sparks the much larger question of I really think we have to stop speaking on behalf of God and really start talking to God. That's what prayer is about. And I think it's belittling to think that I have to stand up for God and tell another person that God is going to be upset because they're praying like that. I really think God can speak on the divine behalf without my needing to step in and do any kind of, PR for God. I mean, it's absurd even to say those words. I think God can decide which prayers are appropriate at a given moment, and God willing, every prayer is heard. I think it's incredible that we can step in there and say to any praying person, I don't like how you're praying, stop that. It's really, I think that on a global level it's ridiculous. Internally it's ridiculous. For any person to say that to any other person, it's ridiculous. I think that what's going on at the Western Wall with this woman is politically motivated in its response. It was politically motivated in its arrest. It's crossed a line. I think that Jews everywhere need to stand up and celebrate open doors and support of each other's expression within their Judaism. I'm not saying people should demonstrate and protest what happened. I think adding a negative expression onto a negative event is probably the worst thing we could do. But I really would love to see us turn the whole thing around and be supportive of pluralistic Jewish expressions. They're to be celebrated. They add to the Jewish people. They give us options to consider when we see somebody else doing something we maybe didn't even think of. It's a growth thing. And I feel very strongly that this needs to have that kind of response from men and women, from leaders and from lay people, and from everyone in between, to just simply stand up and for 2 seconds give a response of support to open doors and pluralistic Jewish expressions.